Sitting comfortably in the shade of a huge tree, the two friends were thinking about their future.
"Do you think he likes me?"
Beverly Watson asked her friend with a smile.
"Of course he does, don't doubt it. I heard him talking about you myself,"
Darcy replied. It was about Robin Brooks, for whom Beverly had the most troubling feelings. The girl dreamily closed her eyes and smiled. In a fit of friendly feelings, Beverly hugged her friend, touching her shoulder with her face. They had been friends for a long time, and deep down considered themselves sisters. Beverly, just like Darcy, came from a poor family. From early childhood, she experienced a lack of parental warmth and attention. She had no father, and her mother was always torn between home and work, trying to provide her daughter with everything she needed. She worked as a cleaner at a roadside motel. Deep down, Beverly was ashamed that her mom was a simple cleaner. But despite this, there was still about 2 months before the prom, which means that a lot could happen during this time. Soon as Darcy said, Robin Brooks invited her friend to the prom. Future graduates prepared thoroughly for the celebration. The lists of couples have already been compiled and approved, and everything would be fine. But at the final meeting of parents, the class teacher's gaze stopped at the name of Beverly Watson. Ironically, she was Robin Brooks' mom. The woman vividly imagined how in all the memorable photos her son will show off with the daughter of a cleaner, dressed in rags from a sale. Unable to contain her emotions, she hissed angrily, "What a horrible couple Robin found himself." After her words, Beverly's mother slammed the door on her heart and left the office. Already on the street, the woman started to cry. And at home, her excited daughter was waiting for her, who was very happy about her mother's arrival. But when she saw her red, tear-stained eyes, she immediately lowered her gaze. Beverly understood that all this was because of her, and this unfortunate graduation. But Samantha Watson, despite her state of mind, hugged her daughter, calming her, and setting her up for good.
"You'll have a dress in the prom, honey. I'll find the money. Please don't worry so much."
"Mom, well, where else can we borrow, if we are already deep in loans?" Beverly objected. But the mother just waved it off. Samantha Watson worked 2 jobs, trying to save money for graduation. One early spring morning, a phone call rang in her house. "Samantha Watson, you have a call from police station. You need to contact the duty officer tomorrow. Mr. Morgan wants to talk to you. He claims that he is the father of your daughter," said a voice on the other end of the phone, and the call disconnected.
"Mom, what happened? You look like you've seen a ghost,"
Beverly asked nervously. Samantha Watson turned pale, painfully tried to find the right words. Then she sighed softly and said, "Your father is found, daughter."
"What do you mean, father? Didn't you say he was missing?"
Beverly exclaimed in surprise. "You see, daughter, I don't know what to say in such cases in general. I'm not your biological mother, honey. Your real mother died during delivery. I adopted you. You understand?" Samantha replied with a sad sigh.
"But you raised me, which means you're my real mother. I don't need anyone else,"
Beverly replied and hugged Mrs. Watson tightly. The woman thought about it, remembering how long ago it was. In her personal life, she never got it along, and the reason for everything was her childlessness. For the first time, she learned about the terrible diagnosis at the age of 23, when she decided to start a family with a decent guy. Their feelings remained quite serious, until it became clear that Samantha could not have children. Since then, as if an evil fate began to haunt the unfortunate girl, no matter who she met, it didn't lead to anything good. Desperate, Samantha began to think about taking a foster child. One day, through a doctor she knew at the maternity hospital, she found out that the woman who had given birth that day had died in childbirth. The deceased woman had no relatives and no husband. No one went to the hospital. She was buried at the expense of the city. Our heroine felt insanely sorry for the newborn girl left without mother. Samantha collected the necessary documents, and a month later, after waiting for a positive decision, adopted her.
"Mommy, please don't cry. You're the closest and dearest person to me,"
Beverly said, snuggling up to her mother. The next day, mom and daughter got up earlier than usual. By the appointed time, they were already at the station. At the sight of them, the duty officer broke into a smile. "Please, it's for you, ma'am," the policeman said and handed Beverly a phone. The girl was confused at first, but then carefully put the phone to her ear.
Hello?
"Hello, daughter. Hello, Beverly. Glad to hear from you. How are you doing? Would you like to visit me in New York?" A pleasant male voice asked. The girl's eyes lit up. That's a twist, she has a father. She would have been happy to chat with that longer, but the place for conversation was not at all suitable for this. After finishing the conversation, they, together with her mother, went outside.
Mom, Dad invites you and me to New York,
daughter puzzled Samantha Watson. The woman was confused. Everything happened so unexpectedly. Her heart ached with fear that this Mr. Morgan might take her daughter away from her. She spoke softly.
Daughter, it's so awkward. What if we embarrass him? Or his wife will be unhappy. No, we won't. We will be allocated a guest house. So the tickets are already booked, and tomorrow we are flying to New York.
Ronald Morgan met them well. As it turned out a little later, the man had been looking for his daughter for many years. This task was not an easy one. Medical secrecy is observed very strictly, but the man achieved his goal. He never told how he managed it. In honor of his daughter's arrival, Ronald Morgan ordered a sumptuous dinner at the restaurant. Over the delicious dishes and leisurely conversation, the time flew by unnoticed. Beverly chatted cheerfully and was glad that she now had a father.
Dad, and I have a prom soon. Can I invite you?
The girl asked timidly. Of course, honey, I accept the invitation, and I will definitely be there, Ronald Morgan assured his daughter. Samantha Watson with her daughter stayed in New York for about 2 weeks, after which they returned to their city in northern Iowa. Just before the flight, Beverly bought the most gorgeous prom dress that was in a cabin. Of course, Darcy madly liked her friend's outfit.
Beverly, we will be the most beautiful girls at the ball,
the girl exclaimed admiringly. The girls, with great impatience, were waiting for the cherished day when they could turn from ugly ducklings into real beauties in chic dresses with ribbons and bows. Finally, the long-awaited day has come. Ronald Morgan, having attended the ceremony, donated a large sum for the renovation of the school. After that, in crowd of parents invited to the ball, they immediately started talking about him as a great philanthropist. No one from the participants of the ball had a better dress than Beverly. The festive fireworks went off, and the music died down.
Darcy, I'm going to New York to study. For a long time. Don't worry, I won't forget you. And I will definitely take you to me.
Beverly stunned her friend with the news. Darcy just nodded and shrugged modestly. She couldn't believe that Beverly would need her in 5 or 6 years. And Beverly, meanwhile, was determined to conquer the metropolis. She took her mother with her and enrolled in a prestigious university, where she was paid a good scholarship for her excellent achievements. This money, of course, was not enough to pay for tuition, but her father took care of all the other expenses. 5 years have flown by unnoticed. On weekends, they sometimes called Darcy and exchanged news. After graduation, her father took Beverly in his company. There, the girl went through a real school of life and learned to make important decisions based on intuition and her knowledge. Beverly has already arrived in her hometown as a real lady. Expensive car and clothes from famous brands made her look like a Hollywood movie actress. Darcy didn't even recognize her friend, but then she came to her senses and hugged Beverly. As it turned out, all this time, Darcy worked as a waitress in a cafe. Her salary was small. It was barely enough for modest life. And in her personal life, she had only problems.
So, girlfriend, I have a great offer for you. Let me take you with me. My father assigned me to head the branch. Therefore, I need smart employees. You will complete training and internship. I'm sure you will succeed,
Beverly offered with a smile. Darcy didn't hesitate for long. And what did you have to lose in this backwater? Friends went to New York together. Darcy really enjoyed new place. Spring has come again, as it did 7 years ago. Two friends, expensively and tastefully dressed, were walking along the embankment chatting about their own.
Darcy, I have two gorgeous brothers in mind, cute ones. Brown-haired is mine, and yours will be brunette.
Beverly suggested.
No, my brown-haired is mine. I'm blonde myself, so I'm looking for the similar husband.
The girl replied with an embarrassed smile. After exchanging glances, the friends burst out laughing together and continued their walk. They really liked New York, which opened up such great opportunities for them. The girlfriends walked with their arms around each other, and the whole world was at their feet. A happy future was not just around the corner, but somewhere very close, at arm's length.